Mom, let's talk about Linda.
Oh, you want me to talk about Linda?
Yeah, Aunt Mookie's
Oh, my
daughter.
little Linda, I loved her from the day one. And she was just the greatest, neatest, and intelligent little kid. And we loved every minute that we had her with us. And she always had the song to sing, any old thing. When we'd get together, we'd sing anything. Always clean jokes, though. And oh, really? I can't get used to
Would
this.
she go up to Hankawalla?
Oh yes. When she would come up home, of course, everything was Linda. And she was real tomboy, you know. She could walk up a mountain and say, "What's wrong with that?" It was just, we'd take her down the other end of the lake because that was the roughest place to walk. Away she goes. Said, "You better bring a lunch." And you know, it was a great part of our lives.
She'd spend every summer with you?
Hey?
Would she spend every summer with you?
Oh, she spent a lot of time with us, but I have to start thinking, you know, going back, you know, that's quite a number of years. And of course, oh, and didn't Linda marry Jensen?
Yeah.
That's right. And
Remember when she got, she didn't like being a lonely child, eh? An only child?
yeah.
You know, with Mookie and Uncle.
Didn't she have kids with Jensen?
Yes. Well, you know, Tina and Corky, and before that she had Jack. Remember Jack?
She had a what?
Remember Jack?
Little Jack?
Yes, she had Jack first.
Oh yes. Well, that's before she was married to Jensen.
Yes.
Oh yes, you're going way back now. And living in Florida, well, I'd go down there. Just the joy of seeing, well, my sister and her husband, but they're seeing little Linda, and she'd teach me all about how to take the bus and go down to the ocean, and we could spend a day there and bring a little lunch with us because I didn't like eating out. So we'd always have a little snack and spend the whole day. Sometimes we get home at dark.
And she didn't like being the only kid, eh?
Jack was her son, eh?
Yeah, she didn't like being the only kid, eh?
Oh no, she thought they should have had more children, but I'm not talking.
Al.
They wanted, and the father would say, well, Alton would say, well, this is just not the kind of life to bring a child into. We have enough of one. And that kind of, you know, there was no feeling, oh, have a bunch of kids, and it will stir up the country a little bit. And so it really, because little Jackie Jensen, well, he accepted the name Jensen because he thought it was more strong looking, you know. But
So Uncle Al Uncle Al didn't like her having friends over either, I don't think.
Oh, the house wasn't full of kids, though. No, we never really had a bunch of kids yet. They always wanted to invite them in, and let's eat or something, or we're going to want a picnic. No, those things didn't happen. Well, we always could blame it that Al had come from the war and lost the eye and the ear, and so he certainly didn't feel good all the time. And he would say, well, he couldn't stand the noise. But he was like that before the war, too. So in his heart, he really didn't like to have a bunch of kids. It wasn't just war born. So, but they were great people anyway. And I wintered down there with such pleasure. And then right?
Did Linda have a lot of kind of animals at her house? Did she have a lot of animals at her house? Linda?
Linda,
when she moved out?
Her house, I think that was Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And that was sort of a wreck, because she lived, everything was nice and everything was good. She just never complained about anything. And when I would go and visit her, she'd go in a cupboard and take out a nice chair. She said, I keep this one because, the other ones are all dirty. And I always remembered that. I said, I'll write a book someday about the chair. No, that...
And then when she came to visit us. Didn't she come up to visit? Didn't she come up the last year of her life to visit us?
Oh yes, every chance she had, she'd come. And I'm trying to remember that last time. I will have to, when you get old, your memory fades, and that little part of it, for some reason, I'm trying to pick it up, and it doesn't come easy.
Well, I think it was when she found out she was sick.
She was a pet. She was a pet of the family, of course. Oh, she was a pet. And so little Jack was a little pet, too. Then he got out into the world, and, it's a little different. But he never changed from being a very gentle, sensitive person.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wasn't mean or crooked. Oh, no. Just that he had a hard time adjusting to his parents not having a big family. He always talked about that. He said, oh, if we had a bunch of kids around, we'd spruce up Florida. That's fun. But then you see parts there are parts of my memory that go. Just recent years. Recent year, I have a hard time remembering who was who. When you get old, you're not young.
Yeah.
And the old brain, I never had a serious head injury. Only once I fell out of the back of a truck. The man that Dad worked for loaded his truck so we could go out to the water, Lake Oneida. And then Dad worried. He didn't want us to dirty the truck, to be careful of everything. And then little parts, they just disappear from my brain.
But you fell out of the truck?
Hey?
You fell out of the back of the truck?
Oh, that's it. Oh, that's it. Well, when we got home, and we drive into a little backyard, which was all cinders. I don't know, we're in the lower part, in the slum part, you know, because that was the only place we could afford it anyway. But all was back in the backyard was cinders. So I suppose some great burning had been there done. Maybe it was an old, I don't know, maybe a garbage dump or something had burned and cleaned. So I stood up, glad to get home, and a little jerk of the cup, and as I fell out, I went directly on my head.
Oh.
And I still keep, it doesn't go away, because I dug it so often, but I was through X-ray to find I had not cracked my skull. But it didn't help me for a long time. And it was we had quite an extensive life that always had something happening, something going on. It sure wasn't dull. And something must have been good about it, because in 6 girls, I'm the only one left, and I'm in my 90s. The other girl, the one that died young was Patty, who would be 85, but she died of a brain, not from not having a healthy body, but just a little brain, a little growth developed in her brain, and only 4 days later the pain was so wicked, and she'd been on a very serious thing for the pain. And the doctor told us all that don't expect you'll last, because after 4 days she's been on, what's that big name of the worst kind of painkiller?
Well, not the chemotherapy, you mean? No, morphine. Morphine.
It was It was a drug
morphine.
That they'd needle her. What?
Morphine.
Morphine. And they said, the doctor phoned us, made long distance to California to tell my daughter out there, and then the daughter phoned us that don't count on mom's lasting. And well, she lasted 4 days.
Mom, I'm going to shut this off and we'll talk about Aunt Patty later, okay?
What?
I'm going to shut this off and then we'll talk later about Aunt Patty.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be her birthday.